Cheating is a thing, obviously. Like, cheating on a spelling test at 7 years old, not a huge deal to me. You do you, little hustler. Don't cheat in school, kids. But cheating in video games, I draw the line there. It sucks. It can detract from the experience of those around the cheater, and I truly don't understand the point. As much as I've had it explained to me before, I just don't really get it. Now, many games have cheating issues due to the unattractive human nature of some players, and Battlefield 5 is one such game. Yep, Battlefield 5 has a cheating problem, but it may not be what you think. Today I'm here to talk about it, but from a more distant and I guess mediatory standpoint than usual, because as is usually the case, the bulk of cheating takes place on PC and I'm a console player. This should really make clear that this isn't your usual video about cheating on Battlefield, as much as those generally pull massive views, like spectating a cheater and all that. No, today I'm looking at things from a much more wide-ranging angle, as well as trying to calm the complaints and fears of some, raise issues with the system, and also canvass your opinion as to the state of cheating or hacking within BF5. I really would like to know what you think of the topic, so get into the comments below and share your thoughts. So what brought me to this subject today? Well, I've covered a lot of aspects of Battlefield 5. Of late, I've switched my focus from news reporting more so to analysis of situations and developments. And this has brought me many a comment about big problems with cheating on the PC platform. This started off as something I didn't pay too much attention to, I'm not connected to the problem, and I figured it was usually the likely case of there being a few cheats here and there, or players mistaking good players for hackers. But the comments kept coming on many different videos, until it felt improper to ignore them. Plus, I got a little tired of people asking me why I wouldn't cover the topic, as if I was trying to cover it up or something, which obviously isn't the case, but whatever. So last week, I put up a poll for a day on Twitter and here on YouTube, asking if people thought there was a cheating problem on PC Battlefield 5. Because a mass opinion of PC users is going to be worth more than my blind speculation. I provided 4 possible answers. Those were, as to if there's a problem with cheating, yes, very bad, yes, a bit, average for PC, or no/very minor. And I'm sure you're itching for some solid information by this point, so I'll give it to you. On YouTube, the poll received over 1.4k votes, with the majority unfortunately going for yes, very bad, with 42% of the overall votes, followed in second place by yes, a bit, with 21%, and then closely behind that we have 19% for average and 18% for no/very minor. Now, these numbers don't necessarily give us a clear outcome, which I'll get to. As I said, this isn't your normal video about cheating made for shock or rage value. But just looking at the numbers here, the unfortunate outcome is that 63% of those that voted feel there's an above average cheating problem on PC Battlefield 5. But what about Twitter? Well, it's a little different, but with some troubling similarities. With over 1,000 votes, the top choice was again yes, very bad, although with a lower percentage this time of 34%, which is still a dominant figure. That's followed by yes, a bit on 24%, and then a different order for the bottom two, with no/very minor coming in third with 23% and average at 19%. So although a little less damning and more evenly spread, it still leaves us with 58% of voters feeling there's an above average cheating problem on PC Battlefield 5 with 58%. Overall, these aren't exactly encouraging numbers, although it's worth mentioning that yes, there was a split, obviously it wasn't completely dominated, and also a combined 2,400 votes, a number of which may be duplicates from people voting on both polls, isn't a coverall for the community. It's a relatively small number when compared with the overall player base. That said though, it isn't insignificant either. It's larger than many companies use for their opinion polls and satisfaction surveys. I would say it's at least a reasonably reliable representation of what the community thinks. So what can we logically extrapolate from this? Well, there's either a significant problem with cheating and hacking, or there's a significant problem with people thinking there's a cheating issue, or a mixture of both. And the most likely true answer is the latter, that it's a mixture of both of them. Now, it could still be either of the other two. Don't just count them out due to my hypothesis, but I'll explain why I think the third option is the most likely. For a start, at one point, it seems there was some pretty extensive cheating on Battlefield 5. The ability to spectate such players provided us with this outlook. And also, unfortunately, some of those players were seemingly able to cheat for extensive amounts of time, much to the disappointment of those who are aware of the cheating. And by cheating, in this instance, I do mean hacking. Blatant hacking such as aimbot, increased damage, and other irritatingly effective implementations. There's also been some screenshots of insane scores, some of them from not that long ago, where the cheaters in question question seemingly had no interest in even trying to pretend they weren't hacking. Then add to this the hackers who usually go unnoticed by most, which I'm certain has or is happening. People with more subtle cheats, or as Westy commented on the Twitter poll, players who turn the cheats off and on so as to be less obviously recognized. I should also add at this juncture though, so as not to misrepresent him, that Westy overall felt that if there is a big issue on EU servers, he's not currently noticing it. Now I don't know if that's actually the case or not for players overall, but it's possible. It's possible that there's more so a problem with people perceiving there to be significant cheating issues, which then colours their experience and perpetuates a false or altered narrative of there being rife cheating. As this spreads, it draws in greater confirmation bias and leaves us with a skewed perspective. But how could that happen? Well, multiple ways. There's the age-old one of good players being mistaken for hackers. Sometimes even wholly average or arguably bad players receive accusations. Many of you likely have at some point. I know I've had them and I'm playing on console. Then there's that lag, ping, netcode and weird TTD problems can give the impression of someone hacking. It's pretty much been accepted that this game has had, and very much arguably still has, significant stability, reliability and consistency problems. I'm sure that's made some moments appear to be blatant hacks, when in fact it's just the game or its servers acting up, especially when you consider lower player numbers than hoped, likely causing more issues with players playing against people from further afield. So with all of those points combined, I personally feel it's likely a combination of both possibilities being the true answer. I feel many players cry foul when they either get beaten or don't understand the reality of the situation, but I also feel like DICE haven't done a good job of ensuring a fair experience for its players, which adds to the other downsides of the game. We don't really know how the reporting and banning system works once we've done our part. We don't see the results or figures. Now they can't tell us outright all of the key details, as then it would make it easier for hackers to hack. But currently we get nothing, and it creates a sense of unknown and a lack of player power. As an example, Respawn for Apex Legends came out at least twice and notified players of massive bans of cheaters. I don't remember DICE doing this for Battlefield 5, certainly not in the same manner or on the same scale. It would have been nice to be reassured that something is being done about hacking, especially in the face of all these accusations. In fact, I googled some key terms such as Battlefield 5 bans hackers. What I found were masses of forum posts complaining about cheaters, questions asking what's actually done about it, and multiple videos essentially showing evidence that the anti-cheat system is broken. The total opposite of what I'd been looking for. I didn't actually find any announcements regarding hackers being banned. No solid numbers as to how many or anything along those lines. Now I've seen a statement that SMK Gaming kindly provided for me. Part of it read that DICE have a zero tolerance policy with cheaters and they are constantly working towards identifying and banning players who use hacks. Now whilst that's nice to read, it doesn't seem to ring particularly true, not when compared with the anti-cheat systems and announcements of certain other games. The statement also said, going forward, you'll see more status updates on our anti-cheat efforts. Well, if they're out there, they're extremely hard to find and certainly aren't being plastered into the community's consciousness. This just doesn't seem to be a priority for them. And considering all of the issues that BF5 has had, it's not wildly surprising. DICE have been placed between a rock and a hard place with this game, and they just haven't been able to keep up. That's what happens when a game is rushed out and the devs don't have enough time to get things in order. But what more can we learn about their system? Well, not too much beyond that we know they use Fair Fight as part of it, and that they now have a policy of all cheating bans being permanent, which is great to hear, although keep in mind that it's only account-wide, so cheaters can just create a new account if they so wish and get back to it. Now there's not too much DICE can really do about that, unfortunately. And so to close this little section out, another point raised by Westy was in reference to the apparent requirement for players to actually identify cheaters themselves. He said that it's a laborious task and we shouldn't have to do it, quite frankly. It's on EA and DICE to police their own game. Now I can't disagree with that, and it may well be the most important aspect of this whole discussion. But anyway, once you've reported someone, what can you do? As DICE won't, and indeed shouldn't, give you details as to what came of it. Well, a suggestion by Rogue9 was to check battlefieldtracker.com, which I highly recommend. Basically, just jump onto there and see if that person is still playing. Now this isn't a foolproof method, but at least it can give you an idea. For example, SMK Gaming did a fantastic video on a notorious console cheater called John 007, and Battlefield Tracker shows that he was either banned or stopped playing due to being exposed shortly after SMK released his video. If you're interested in how someone was cheating on console, I'll link to the video in the description. It's absolutely fascinating the lengths some people will go just to put numbers on a board in a video game. And why do such players cheat or hack? Well, I've spoken to cheaters before, and basically they like the attention and the idea that they're causing anger or some form of reaction, like kids first realizing they can affect the world around them and choosing to do so regardless of how or what the consequence may be. The only difference is, these individuals are supposed to have developed sensibilities, sympathy, empathy, and pure common decency, but they haven't. They're pathetic cheating scum. And so, all of that is why Battlefield 5 has a cheating problem, but it may not be what you expected. So now, let me know what you think. Do you file reports? Do you bother to spectate players? What do you think of hackers? And any other relevant comments, leave them for me to read below. I hope you enjoyed the video to the point that you considered turning on notifications, as it's now the only surefire way to stay up to date on YouTube, but I'd still obviously really appreciate if you like the video, subscribe to the channel, and join my Discord server in the description and my pinned comment. Here's the Board of Awesome for the epic people who support the channel on Patreon. They're all absolute heroes and I love them all deeply and of course often. If you want to join them on the Board of Awesome, the link to the Patreon page is in the description and my pinned comment. And with all that said, I'm GetGoodGuy and I'll see you next time. Laters.